Yo, what's going on? It is your official host, Lamar Robinson, and welcome back to yet again another episode of Live with Lamar. I appreciate everybody that tuned in yesterday. My lips kind of greasy. Sorry, I ain't want my lips looking kind of ashy on the screen. Boom. I appreciate everybody that was able to tune in with me last night with my boy 7J. We had a fantastic interview, and the interview is already at 300 plus viewers. So thank you. Shout out to y'all that made that possible. If you have not had the opportunity to see that interview, please go on my Instagram TV and check it out now. It'll be streaming for forever. So definitely share with your friends and let them know about it as they tune in to check out that interview. It was great. It was really amazing. Tonight's interview is going to be very special. We're actually, as you see, I went and voted today. And so if you have not had opportunity to go vote, make sure you go and vote. If voting is open, early voting is open in your hometown and in your city and in your state, make sure you go ahead and submit that ballot before, election time come around. Things can get crazy. So go ahead and vote. I voted. I'm rocking my sticker. I'm rocking my red. And even tonight, I believe it's a presidential debate. So it's crunch time. It's about that time for us to get things situated, get things cracking, to make things change for us in our community. So it's very important. So make sure you go and vote. So tonight is all about politics. It's all about voting. It's all about some important people. And I have the opportunity to have a very special guest with me today, Miss Tammy Shamburger, who currently sits on the Hillsborough County School Board. She's representing District 5, and she actually is running for re-election. And so I have the opportunity to bring her on the show to talk to her. Now, I've had opportunity to meet her in the past. She's had opportunity to come to my school and meet some of our students, and she's really doing a lot of big things. And so that's why I chose to bring her on here. I'm so happy she accepted this invitation. She's actually tuned in now, so I'm going to go ahead and invite her in there and get the grilling her. No, I won't be that type of vibe. I just want to talk. Just want to talk about politics and learn, and hopefully you guys can learn from it as well. Let's get her in here. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to be live. But again, thank you everybody that is currently tuned in. I appreciate it. Hello. Yeah.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Look at you with your, look at you. You learn how to work it. I taught you something new.
I was so worried. Listen, I instantly felt like an old lady. I'm like, how do you even do this on Instagram?
Now you know for the future, if anybody says they want to go live with you on Instagram, you know how to go live on Instagram.
I learned something new today.
That's good. That's good. So how's your day been? I know it's probably was busy. I know you've been doing a lot of things today and probably this week alone.
Yeah. So first of all, let me just apologize for my appearance. This is, I generally don't go anywhere without makeup. So I'm doing this special for you because this is campaign season. And so this is when, listen, no time to be cute. I have a race to win. And so, I have my campaign shirt, been circling the polls all day, still sitting in my office, working a little late tonight. But you know what? I love every minute of it.
I love it. I mean, hey, like you got stuff to do, so I don't expect you look fine. You got your campaign shirt on, so I support it 100%. So this is great. One thing that I want to go ahead and jump right into it, and one of my things that I want to talk to you about, because you're a black woman, you're running for elections, you're running for re-election, you're in this district, you're in the political field, and you are someone who's very passionate about people like us that aren't mistreated, that aren't getting their fairness. And one population that is currently getting a lot of love and support are our black women. So what is that initiative? Everybody's saying support our black women, protect our black women. What does that mean for someone like you?
Oh my gosh, I love it. Because it's well deserved. As a black woman, I was just on another call and I was sharing that they asked about, I get a lot of harsh criticism as a black woman. And so, I didn't really understand fully the extent of racism, oppression, hatred, bigotry, all of that stuff until I became an elected official in 2016, because, I showed up with a big voice. I'm bold and courageous in everything that I do. And folks wanted to remind me that, no, you're a black woman, you need to stay in your place. And so it's been very, very, very tough over the last 4 years dealing with that. But to have my people, especially my black men, wrap their love and support around me to help validate my existence as a black woman, a strong black woman, has been absolutely amazing. I mean, we are the queens of the earth, right? We are everything. Yes. And so I definitely love the movement. You have to protect black women. It's just really very, very important.
That is really great. And for like our young women, so one thing that I think is very important for a lot of this, I always see, and you can correct me and help me, I feel like there's a lot of things for black men. You know, a lot of initiatives for black men this, black women, black men. Are there things out there in the community for our black, like our young ladies and our young queens to like really know about themselves? And like, if not, what do you think some initiatives that should be created to help support our young princesses, we'll call them?
Yes, our princesses. Not enough. It's so interesting that you bring that up because when I got elected to this seat, I was really interested in what are we doing outside of the school district to really help empower our youth. And there's so many groups for young black men, which are needed, right? We understand the situation that even you as a black man is in this country, but there was very little for our girls. There's just been so little focus on helping to empower our girls, to teach them to love their beauty, their skin, their kinky hair, and all of that. And so, and so we're doing more and more of it, but we have to do that. This is our duty. This is our responsibility as the village, as a community, to really, provide the resources for our boys and girls. Listen, that's not what school is for. We have an obligation here in the community. And so, I'm starting to see more groups, more mentorship opportunities, just empowering young black girls to love themselves, also young black men as well, but we need more of it. We have to get this village back together and let these kids know that they are God's creations. I mean, they are our future, and we're going to support them in what they want to do.
And I love that. And that's, like you said, it's super important. It's something that we have to focus on, and we have to. And like you said, you as a black woman to go into your seat, first off, if I'm not mistaken, you're the third black person. Are you the first woman, third black woman? Third to be on the school board, which is huge. That's very small. And so you coming into this position in 2016, what were some of your strategies? What are some that you wanted to tell yourself that like, hey, I don't want to come off like too strong and like, oh, I'm here because I'm black, but I want to come and like create a change. What were some of your strategies that you decided to take, a couple years ago?
I literally had that exact conversation with myself. I'm only the third black elected to the Hillsborough County School Board in its 100+ year history. Just the third. I am the fourth seated. Our first was the Reverend Dr. Leon Lowry, and he sat on the board for about 16 years, and then the Honorable Doris Ross Reddick was elected after him. She sat there for about 12 years, and then my predecessor, the Honorable Doretha Edgecombe, was also on the board for about 12 years as well. And so, I have immense shoes to fill. They were trailblazers. They helped me get into this position with their bold and courageous leadership. But I am a very different generation, right? How they had to be a little quiet and things like that because that's what the times called for. I remember reading a quote from Doris Ross Reddick. She says, she likes to be quiet, she likes to listen, and she will never bang on the table. Well, we're living in different times now, and I love the energy and power from the folks now. Quite frankly, I'll flip a table, right? So I'm very, very vocal, but very respectful. I'm able to get the work done because, you see, I came in, I have the audacity to demand better for our community. It's time for change in our community. But, first, when I first got elected, I was like, I'm definitely always going to be for all students. I'm not going to go in there and be too pro-black and, let me just, take care of everything. But, the moment I stepped on that dais, I realized that if I didn't fight for this black community, nobody else would. And so instantly, I became a strong, unapologetic, vocal advocate for our community. I love everybody. I'm going to fight for every kid, every staff member. But as the only black board member, I'm going to always be an advocate for us.
I love it. And we need it. It's important that, because sometimes, and we shouldn't have to silence ourselves or be different because we're black and don't want to come off because I'm too black. You know what I mean? But it's important that they know that I am black. These are the issues that I support. This is the community I support. I love everybody, but just know that I'm going to make sure, and I know a lot of the things that you've even worked on, that you've done, is to make sure that the Hispanic population and the black population, that they're not understaffed and nobody's not overlooking them when it comes to different initiatives in our community. So very important. So we're speaking about kids. We're talking about education. We have COVID. So I work, I'm a case manager, and I work here in Hillsborough County, and I work with at-risk and troubled youth. And so, you know, we had those weeks where school kept getting pushed back. It was on the 23rd, now it's on the 16th, and then it kept going to September in the first quarter. How have you and your colleagues, you know, been able to really combat with COVID, plus getting our students back into the building to get their education?
Yeah, you know, listen, that was a monumental battle. And that's when the racism really came out, by the way. You know, I was staunchly against reopening our schools because, one, I was a COVID survivor. And so this was a public safety issue. I didn't want anybody to have to suffer the way I suffered needlessly. And it was really unfortunate that our weak governor and our very weak president really put folks like me, school board members, not medical experts, in the position to make this very, very difficult decision. But I tell you, not only was it easy for me in that, you know, I was a COVID survivor, I didn't want anybody to get it, but I was very clear on the fact that this pandemic, this disease, impacts this Black community and the Hispanic community like none other. And I would never, ever further marginalize our community by putting them in unsafe situations. You know, listen, we have kids now that are, you know, I represent the lowest of income communities, the most marginalized, disenfranchised communities. These kids already have no good access to quality health care. And so why would I advocate to put them back in a situation that could potentially take their lives because they don't have access to that health care? And so that was really my fight. Listen, I get it. Our kids need to be in front of a teacher. There's no doubt about it. But, you know, I'd rather our kids be a little bit behind than dead.
Yes.
And it's really just that simple. And so it caused a divide in the community, of course. We're finally starting to come over that. Our schools ultimately did open. You know, I'm not sure if you remember, Lamar, you know, the Florida Education Association, that's the state teachers union. They sued the governor and the commissioner of education for them forcing us to reopen. I was called as the only board member in the entire state. So we're talking about thousands of board members. They called Tammy Shamburger to testify against the governor and the commission of education because I've been clear about my position on this. But ultimately, you know, our schools are now open, and just as I suspected, our numbers are rising. Right now, we have about 2,200 students that are on quarantine, a little under 200 teachers on quarantine, and we've had, you know, upwards of almost 1,000 positive cases. But we have to continue to stay safe. It's very important. This COVID is revamping, so we can't let our guards down.
That's true, guys, because I know, and like I said, I work within the school district as well. So, you know, I'm hearing cases at this high school, this middle school, 2 cases here.
Whole admin team.
Just different locations. I think I heard about a student even unfortunately passed away from it. Like, different things are out there and have happened, and it was tough. You know, I mean, I remember being at home, working from home since March, you know, working with my students, and it was definitely difficult, definitely hard to keep them motivated and trying to let them know that, hey, just because COVID exists, you still have to do your e-learning. And if you don't do your e-learning, this is the effect. Having to, you know, calm down my parents. Again, I'm a case manager, so talking to my parents that are stressed because they have to work, but then their kid has to do e-learning. They're not there to help their kid do what they need to, and they're like, how is this fair? You know, I remember a conversation specifically, you know, she was like, this isn't fair. Like, my kid has asthma. I don't feel comfortable with him going back to school. What am I supposed to do now? And I said, I wish. She's like, who do I have to talk to? I'm like, it's out of my hands. Like, it's forced. You know, we're all forced to go back there, and you know, I wish that we can help them. And it's this thing is weird. You know what I mean? Like you said, our governor weird, our president weird, and so it's like they say, you know, our kids are getting dumber, but it's like, you want them dead?
It's tough. Listen, you know what I rely on? I rely on phenomenal educators we have, even like yourself in the district, to help get our kids back where they need to be. Trust me, no one can plan for this. You know, we're learning as we go. And so I just have faith that, you know, our teachers will do best by our kids and get them back to where they need to be. Because you know what's going to be worse? I say it all the time, what's worse than a kid having to be at home e-learning is a kid at home sick with COVID having to e-learn. I mean, how are you going to deal with that? Or what we may be facing in a few months, our entire school's shutting down, now everybody's home e-learning. There's no ideal situation. But again, I choose a little bit of you being behind over you being dead any day.
Absolutely. And that's what it comes down to. And I think it all goes to voting. It's about the importance of voting. It definitely comes about who we're putting in these certain seats. Now, one thing I want to ask you, and I'm pretty sure you've heard this tell this, this thing a lot is that there's no point in voting because they're going to put who they want to see anyways. There's no point in voting because nothing going to change. How do we kill that narrative to make everyone understand that, like, you have to vote? Like, it is important to vote. I hear what you're saying. Your vote may not go in your favor. You may vote for one person and they may not win, but we all need to vote. How do we kill that narrative?
Yeah. Well, honestly, not voting is simply a vote for the person that you don't want. And so you really have to vote. Every vote does count. If we all can come together, we'd really make a change in this community. I look at how I got in this seat. You know what I mean? Like, in the primary election, it was really like a handful of votes that I won by, you know what I mean? Or that could have been a handful of votes that I lost by. You could have lost such a strong advocate for this community. And so it's so important to vote. Our ancestors fought for it. Everybody knows that. But also, if there's anything that's equal in this world, it's really that one vote that we all have. And we know some folks are trying to suppress it and take it away from us, but you have to use that power, especially in these local races. And let me just say that, and this may sound a little selfish because I am a local candidate, but it's folks like me who sit on the school board, it's folks like the city council, the county commission, and even the mayor who impact your daily life. It's not the president so much, believe it or not. It's folks like me. I'm making decisions about what your kid is going to eat for lunch, right? Or what time their school start, or if we're going to have to fire their teacher or not. It's folks like me that really impact your daily lives. And so you want to make sure that you get someone in the office, one who's going to listen and who also speaks to the issues that you really have. And if you don't vote, you may get somebody the opposite of me and who may just cause so much havoc in your family's lives. And so getting out and voting is probably one of the most important things you can do. And how long did it take you to vote today? It's quick.
It took me 10 minutes, if that. Like, I got, the line, but it really was, it moved steady. I went right up the street. It was right up the street at the library, and it was no pressure. I went in. It was easy. The people were nice. I bubbled in, and I was out the door. 10 minutes, if that. Like, it was very quick.
It's quick. There's so much resources out there. You can find out who to vote for. If I'm in your district, of course you're going to vote for me. But you can find out who to vote for. You can have it, take it in there with you. You can take your slate cards or your notes. You can take whatever you want to take with you into the voting booth. Get that 2-page ballot, circle those bubbles, and turn it in. 5 minutes to not only change your life and your family's life, but to help shift this community, right? If you're tired of how your community looks, because I know sometimes I'm tired of how my community is. I go out to the south part of the county in my truck and my car rides nice and good. But as soon as I get back over East Tampa, it's all these potholes and, trash in the road and all of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I pay taxes. I deserve to have nice too. Yes. So you know what I do? I don't complain about it. I go out and vote for people who are going to listen to me and who are going to make sure that I get equality and equal treatment, just like folks who live in newer parts of the county. And so you can complain about it or you can make excuses, but you really can't do both. So take 10 minutes and go out and vote. It's so easy.
It's so easy. And it was easy. And I'm glad you said it because I was getting ready to vote and I tried to kind of look at candidates and also the amendments, it's very important to look at before you go into there. And I was like, dang, man, like, can I use my phone? Like, can I take pictures? Can I do this next? I was like, I don't know. So I felt like I was cheating. You know how you get a phone, you see? I was like,
because you're a teacher, like.
And I was trying to hide it because I was like, I don't want them to take my ballot because I didn't know because all my notes were on my phone that I needed. And I was like, well, I know there are certain candidates that I can't remember. Like, of course I remember you. Of course I remember the presidential candidate. Of course I remember all these things of people that I wanted to vote for. But there were like smaller other candidates that I wanted to vote for, but I couldn't remember their names. It's 1,000, not 1,000, that's over exaggerating, but there's a lot of candidates on that form, and especially amendments. My research of looking into that and voting for what I felt was important. So it's definitely important to vote. Like she said, make sure you go and vote if you have not.
And take what you want to take. Take your notes, take your phone, take me, take a person with you. It doesn't matter. You can vote. The only thing, by the way, just to be safe, all the people still do it. They have some antiquated laws on the books that you're not supposed to take a picture of your completed ballot, the circled in one, and share it on social media. But take whatever, listen, take 9,000 Tampa Bay Times with you. It doesn't matter. Take whatever you want to take. the important thing is to make sure that you're voting all the way down the ballot. Don't just go in and vote for me. Vote for people who are going to work with me to help change this community. And we know the presidential is important. All the amendments are important. Vote down the ballot. Take 15 minutes and do your research, and that's it.
I'm glad you brought up presidential. Ms. Kamala Harris is running for vice president, a Black woman. How does that make you feel?
Man,
a person that looks like you,
running
for vice president of the United States.
That's amazing. It's so amazing. You know, it inspires me. You know, I feel like a little girl again, like looking up to like this amazing person. Like here we're going to have, because we're going to claim victory,
yes,
our first ever Black female head of the state. Like that's amazing. And so it really inspires me. It shows me that, you know what, I can do it too. It's going to help pave the way. You know, I'm going to work hard so I can pave the way for folks that may be looking up to me. But I'm just telling you, like, we're moving in the right direction if we, once we win this Biden-Harris ticket.
We need it. I don't think I can do 4 more years of what I've been dealing with. So I'm ready for public. I can't. I need something different. But you are running for re-election. You're already sitting on the board, and you've accomplished a lot. So I want to highlight some of the things that she has done during her term. Not only has she advocated for any families and children who have been wronged by the education system, she's also created things such as family fair days instead of student fair days. She has approved increases for teachers and staff, which I know is very important because we are definitely underpaid. So all the money is there. One of my very important things, 2 things I noticed that you have accomplished that is important for me because of my students, is that you created an East Tampa career fair to introduce the community to tech schools and apprenticeships program, which is very important, as well as create a disciplinary system known as a behavior management system instead of just kicking our kids out. And I deal with that on a daily with behavior modification because, you know, a lot of times students are just kicked out and they don't need to just be kicked out immediately. Like, they need some help, maybe some services, some counseling or something. And they're not a bad kid. You know, they just maybe just going through something at home, and that sometimes that is overlooked. You know what I mean? Adults tend to overlook what kids are going through because they're just a kid, and that's not important. So I love that you're passionate about that. What are some new initiatives that you plan to do during your upcoming, you know, run? Or what are some things you plan to tweak?
Yeah, you know, we have to keep on this path. You know, what I've done over the last 4 years is start unpacking and fixing generational cycles of just wrong to our community. And so, you know, listen, it's going to take more than 4 years to do it. You know, the biggest issue I have, and that's the demographic you work with as well, is that, you know, I knew that we had an issue with our Black males especially, but my eyes were open wider when I started really looking into it. You know, our Black males simply are just not safe in the Hillsborough County School District. And when we talk about the disproportionate treatment of these Black males or Black boys, it's a problem. You know, they have the lowest graduation rates, the lowest participation in advanced coursework, right? But yet we're highest in suspension rates, highest in arrest rates, highest change in placements. You know, I always say we're good in everything bad, but bad in everything good. And that's an issue. And so I spent the last 4 years trying to eliminate any obstacles for our students to, you know, academically succeed and have a really good education. We've worked a lot on implicit bias training. I'm very proud of that policy we passed. That's working to eliminate systemic and institutional racism. And that's very important, back to that previous point, because when I looked at why are our Black males being just totally mistreated in this district, and I learned that, you know, listen, it's not necessarily their behavior, because their behavior is just like most kids' behaviors. Yes, we may deal with some different types of traumas, but listen, they misbehave just like the white kids or the Hispanic kids or the Asian kids misbehave. What we found, or what I found, was it's not the kids, it's the adults' response to the kids' behavior that's an issue. And so we must eliminate that and fix that. And so we have to clean out the hearts of some of these teachers, some of these folks that are in front of our kids, and how they're responding and treating our kids. I'm big on that culturally responsive training. I had a meeting today with a group of educators who are now working with me to really eliminate this school to prison pipeline. You see, she gave me an example that really broke my heart when we talk about how some educators don't understand poverty and what real Black poverty means. And she brought up this point about this little kid who was in extreme poverty, like he was in kindergarten, and his shoes were too little and they were just too tight because that's all they had. And so when he would get to school, he would take those shoes off because his feet were hurting. And the teacher would tell him to put the shoes back on. And he says he wouldn't, he couldn't, and he wouldn't. And he would get disciplined as being like disobedient or something. We got to have teachers that understand the trauma of what we go through. And our trauma as Black people is very different than trauma of other people. And so that's what we're working on. We're working on creating a system that's fair and that's equitable for all students, but especially these Black kids. We have to get them off the bottom. No matter where they come from, no matter what's happening in the community, we have an obligation to make sure that they're getting the best education possible. And I'm going to continue fighting for that. Trust me, I'm very vocal. A lot of people want to silence me. I get it. But you know what? It's going to take a lot to silence me. I'm going to make sure that all of our kids are getting the absolute best education and the best treatment possible. I'm tired of being on the bottom of the list.
Oh, I love that. Like you said, you hit everything. And that's one of the reasons why I invited you on the show. That's one of the reasons, like from a distance, I talk to my coworkers, my director about you all the time. Like let Tammy see something. That's that pressure. That's that pressure. Like I love it because it's important. And like you brought up the whole shoe thing. It's not even just about the shoe. That's something so small, and it's a whole bigger picture. Yes. I promise you that kid has more going on at home that a lot of staff and teachers and APs and counselors, they don't see. He's taking his shoes off. I'm like, it's a big, but I promise you, they hurt his feet. They literally hurt his feet. What do you want him to do?
Right.
You know, often, why do you always take your shoes off? If you just ask the question without yelling, hey, why do you keep taking your shoes off, buddy?
Right.
Well, they're too small for me. Oh, you don't have any others you can wear?
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't. Now you realize, like, oh, well, maybe me and my department can maybe buy this kid some new shoes, and maybe he's going to stop taking his shoes off if you just ask questions.
Right.
They don't even ask the question. They're already yelling. They're yelling. That's the first thing. They want to yell. That doesn't solve nothing. It doesn't solve anything.
It doesn't. I talk loud. I'm a Black woman, right? And, you know, not to even be stereotypical, but doesn't mean I'm like rude, I'm being aggressive. It's just how I talk, right? And so we have to eliminate these behaviors. It's the adults that are really creating the problem. We have a lot of adult issues in this district. Now, I'm not going to ever make excuses about some of the crazy behaviors we see from our kids, but we have to be able to help kids understand and really teach them. Pushing them out, putting them in ISS, putting them in out-of-school suspension, arresting them, Baker acting them, putting them in alternative schools, sending them to prison or some program, it does not help. It helps. And none of that helps. And that's always been the solution. So we have to help this district and help education, period, see the errors of their ways. I'm very clear that this system was not meant for us. I get that. And so I'm here to help make it work for us. And so that's what I want to do for you for the next 4 years. I'm going to keep being loud. I'm going to keep being courageous. I'm going to keep being bold. And I'm going to keep calling it like it is until they can guarantee, or we can guarantee, that everybody can academically succeed and be treated fairly in this district.
I love it. Look, you already got my vote. I already voted for you earlier today.
Thank you.
But you just earned your vote even more just now within those past 5 minutes. So y'all got to make sure y'all vote. I love it. My final question for you, for your supporters that are already there, and for new supporters that may be tuning in or maybe voting for you for the first time, if you had to make one promise or, you know, one thing you hope that they take away from you as a woman, as a candidate, as a school board member, what is that one thing that they take away from you for the next 4 years of your term?
Yeah, that I'm going to continue to be Tammy. Yes. I'm going to, in all things, great Tammy.
Love it.
That's it. Right. I am who I am. Tammy. I'm here for this community. Born and raised here. Tammy is about Tampa. I love this community. I still live in the community. I just want us to be great. I just want us to be strong. And I promise you, over the next 4 years, listen, I'm out of my learning curve. This next 4 years, you better put on your seatbelt, because it's really going to get good. So I'm committed to making us better at all costs. So please go out and vote for me. I really need it. Our students need it. Our community, our teachers need it. You can find more about me at keeptamara.com.
Yes. Please, guys, make sure. And if you need more information about her, you want to hear about her campaign, some of her initiatives, go to her on Instagram, Miss Tammy Shamburger. Sorry, I almost messed that up.
Yeah,
Tammy
that's okay.
Shamburger, and you better find out all about her campaign. She has tons of pictures on there. Her website is in her bio, so you can look up everything you need to know. And, you know, hit her up, ask her questions. She may be able to help you. I'm sure she was a very nice lady. For me to get this interview, she was quick with it, and I was like, oh, wow. I feel special. So,
but thank you for what you do. You're part of the puzzle.
Yes.
We all are a piece of the puzzle. Thank you for what you do in servicing our students and your commitment. Everybody watching this evening as well, we all have a role in making our community better. So join me in making us great, y'all.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I know you had a long day, so you probably got to get some food in your system and get you a little nappy in before you got to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Let me go ahead. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Good luck to
Thank you.
Bring it home.
Yes, thank you.
Bring it home.
November 3rd. Bye,
November
everybody.
3rd. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.